All right, so let's dive right in because we've got a situation. A massive food recall, and it's hitting close to home for a lot of us. We're talking BrucePac, the Oregon-based company.
Right, they've issued a recall.
Yeah, and it started big, like 11 million pounds of ready-to-eat meat and poultry. 11 million.
Yeah, that's a lot of food.
But here's the thing, it just keeps growing, expanding, even as we're talking about it.
And that's what makes this recall so impactful. You see, BrucePac, they're a supplier, a big one, for all sorts of brands. Brands I bet you've got in your kitchen right now. We're talking Fresh Express salads, those easy Trader Joe's meals, even some 7-Eleven sandwiches, I
Oh
think.
yeah, those pre-made salads, those are my go-to for lunch.
Right. So this isn't just a few things off the shelves. It's potentially contaminated food all over the place. Grocery stores, restaurants, maybe even your kid's school cafeteria.
So not to freak anyone out, but this is serious. Before you grab a quick lunch or heat up that frozen dinner, everyone really needs to check their fridge and freezer. And this one is tricky. See, BrucePac, it's not a name you're going to see on the packaging.
Exactly. That's the thing. They're behind the scenes. So you need to do a little detective work. Look for establishment numbers on the packaging. 51205 or P51205. Those are the magic numbers. If you see them, you know it's part of this recall.
And we'll put a link to the USDA website in the show notes, right? It's constantly being updated.
Absolutely. And don't just glance at the list. Use that search function just to be extra sure, because we're talking about Listeria here, and that's not something to mess with. Now, you might be thinking, okay, bacteria, I'll just cook my food thoroughly, and that's good. Cooking is great, but Listeria is a little, well, it's not quite that straightforward.
Yeah, it's kind of a sneaky one, right?
It is. It can be in the soil, water, even plants. So contamination, it's not just like one point in the process. It can happen during processing, packaging, even in your own fridge.
Speaking of fridges, this is kind of wild to me. Listeria actually thrives in cold temperatures. It's like the opposite of what we think about with bacteria.
Exactly. That fridge you're using to keep things safe, it can actually be the perfect place for Listeria to grow.
So that quick, easy meal, it might be a little riskier than we realize.
Yeah.
And we need to underline this. This is not your average 24-hour bug, right?
Not at all. The CDC, they take Listeria very seriously. And you know why? Because while it's not the most common foodborne illness, it's the third leading cause of death from them.
Wow. That's a scary statistic.
It's serious, and it's particularly bad for pregnant women, older adults, anyone with a compromised immune system. They really need to be careful.
Okay, so this recall, it's critical. We're talking about more than just an upset stomach.
Right, we're talking potential complications, sepsis, meningitis, even death in some cases. It's a big deal.
Which brings us to the next point, because even if you toss out all the recalled stuff, that might not be enough with Listeria.
Exactly, because remember, it can grow in your fridge. And it also spreads through cross-contamination. So let's say some juice drips from a recalled product in your fridge. Or you use the same cutting board for veggies after prepping some recalled meat.
Oh, I've totally done that.
Yeah.
You just grab a cutting board without thinking.
We've all been there. But now you've potentially spread it to other food.
Okay, so what do we do? How do we fight back against this unseen enemy in our kitchens? Knowledge is power, right? There's got to be something you can do. So how do we fight back against this unseen enemy lurking in our refrigerators? Knowledge is power. And luckily, even though this bacteria is tricky, we can take steps to protect ourselves and our loved ones.
Absolutely. And it starts with heat. Listeria really can't stand the heat.
So, like they always say, if you can't stand the heat, get out of the kitchen, right? But in this case, it's Listeria that needs to get out.
Exactly. Thorough cooking is key here. And not just with the recalled meats, but with everything we're prepping.
Yeah, think of it this way. You're not just cooking for taste, you're cooking for safety.
100%.
Those cutting boards, gotta wash them with hot, soapy water after handling any raw meat. Even if you think, oh, it probably wasn't part of the recall, just wash them.
Especially after handling meat, yeah.
And produce. I know those pre-washed salads are super convenient, but give them an extra rinse just to be safe.
Can't hurt. And while we're on the topic of washing, let's not forget our hands. Those are the most important tools in the kitchen.
Oh, for sure. So important.
Washing with soap and water before and after handling food, that's huge for preventing cross-contamination.
And the tricky thing with Listeria is it can take a while to make you sick, right? You might not know right away.
Exactly. It's not like those other foodborne illnesses that hit you within hours. Listeria can take its sweet time, sometimes up to 70 days.
70 days.
70 days.
That's wild. So you can eat something and think everything's fine, and then weeks later,
Exactly. So even if you eat something questionable and you feel okay the next day, don't let your guard down. Pay attention to any weird symptoms that pop up: fever, muscle aches, headaches, even confusion.
Well, it can all be signs of listeriosis.
Right. And if you experience any of those, don't wait. Contact your doctor immediately.
Definitely better to be safe than sorry. And, this isn't just about each of us individually. It's about our communities.
Mm.
Talk to your family, friends, neighbors, especially anyone who might be more vulnerable to listeria.
Absolutely. Spread the word, not the bacteria.
Well said. This recall, as scary as it is, it's a good reminder. Food safety, it's an ongoing thing. We got to stay informed, be proactive in our kitchens, and demand better from the companies providing our food. So stay vigilant, stay safe, and keep those fridges clean, everyone.